What to do when you're fresh out of a breakup and the pain is unbearable. Let me give you the relief you need. Keep watching. If you're just fresh out of a breakup and you have anxious attachment, there is something I need you to understand before you do anything else. The intensity of your pain is not telling you what you need to do. It is telling you that something inside of you needs attention. Because when you're in acute pain from a breakup, your brain is going to give you very convincing instructions. Text them, call them, ask what happened, explain yourself. Tell them you can change, check their social media, find out if they're seeing someone, get one more conversation. And because the pain is so intense, taking action can feel like relief. If you're new to my channel, I'm Marianna Turov. I'm an anxious attachment clinical specialist and the author of Inside Anxious Attachment, a 10-year research I conducted with over 10,000 anxious attached individuals on over 14 countries, and the creator of NeuroIdentity, a neuroscience method based on my research that can take you to secure attachment at the identity level. If you want to watch my NeuroIdentity Masterclass, click on the link on the description box. And if you want my book as well. Now, let's get to work. There are 3 people that come to me for help. People with a recent breakup with severe acute pain, people with old breakups with severe chronic pain that's still hooked, and people inside an anxious avoidant trap. So this is a 3-video series where I'm going to address people with severe acute breakup pain. So I was saying, because the pain is so intense, taking action and doing things can symbolize some sort of relief. But here's the problem. Relief is not the same thing as healing. In fact, some of the things that give you relief in the first 10 minutes can make your attachment wound significantly worse over the next 10 days. I know this because this big research that I conducted, and I used to be super anxious attached myself. So I've been through a bunch of breakups. Today, we're talking about what you do when the breakup just happened and your nervous system feels like it's falling apart. So I'm going to give you 5 tools. But before I give you the tools, you need to understand 2 principles that completely change how you respond to breakup pain. Principle number 1, your pain is information, not instruction. This might be the most important thing I tell someone after a breakup. Your pain is information, not instruction. Let me explain. Imagine you're driving and your dashboard suddenly lights up with a warning. The warning tells you something needs attention. But you don't start hitting the dashboard because you want the warning light to turn off. You investigate what's happening. Your emotional pain works the same way. Your pain is telling you something has happened that my system is struggling to process. It may be telling you that you're experiencing loss, rejection, uncertainty, abandonment fear, a disruption of your sense of safety, and a disruption in your identity. It may be telling you that you're suffering a sudden loss of a person your brain has been using as an emotional reference point, symbolizing company, relationship, reassurance, validation, affection, physical contact, etc. That's all information, but your attachment system will often convert that information into instruction. It's going to say, you're hurting, do something. And that's where people get themselves into trouble because your brain says, I'm hurting, therefore I need to contact them. But those are 2 completely different statements. Pain does not automatically tell you what action you need to take. It tells you that something needs to be processed. Pain is there to be processed. So when you feel the urge to text your ex, I want you to practice saying, this is pain. It's not an instruction. Pain needs processing, not obeying. When you want to check their social media, think, this is pain. This is not an instruction. When you suddenly decide to absolutely need one more conversation, say, this is pain. This is not an instruction. You don't have to obey every emotional impulse simply because the impulse is intense. And this is where I want to make an important distinction. I'm not telling you to suppress your pain. I'm not telling you to distract yourself and go out and get hammered and party. I'm not telling you to pretend that you don't care, because you do. I'm telling you to process the pain instead of using behavior to escape the pain. Because contacting your ex may temporarily reduce the anxiety, Checking their Instagram may temporarily reduce the uncertainty. They're not dating someone new, right? Getting a response may temporarily calm you, but your brain learns something very dangerous. It learns this: when I feel this pain, I need access to my ex to regulate it. And that's how a breakup can turn into an attachment addiction. So the first tool is incredibly simple. I call it the pause protocol. When the urge to act appears, don't immediately ask, should I text them? Just ask instead, what is my pain trying to tell me? Name the emotion, name the fear, name the loss. But don't automatically turn the emotion into behavior, because your first job after a breakup is not to fix the relationship. Your first job is to stabilize yourself. And that brings me to the second principle. Principle number 2, your job right now after a breakup is to find stability. If you just went through a breakup, I want you to temporarily forget about becoming your best self. Forget about reinventing yourself. Forget about figuring out your entire future. Forget about making your ex realize what they lost. Forget about whether they're going to come back or not. And especially, forget about trying to make the breakup make sense immediately, because it ain't happening. Your job right now is stability. Think about what happens during an earthquake. You don't start redecorating the house. You don't start making long-term architectural decisions. You first make sure everyone is safe. You stabilize the environment, then you assess the damage, then you rebuild. Your emotional system needs the same sequence. Stabilize first, understand later, rebuild after that. And stability means looking at every major area of your life: your sleep, your food, your movement, your work, your environment, your social contact, your daily routine, your exposure to your ex, your phone, your alcohol and drug use, and your ability to regulate your emotions without immediately reaching for the person you're grieving. Because when you're in acute breakup pain, your life can very quickly become organized around what question? What is my ex doing? And I want you to deliberately reorganize your life around a different question. What does my nervous system need today to feel safe enough to get through the day? Notice that I said today. Not what am I going to do by being single for the rest of my life? What if I never find someone again? What if he never comes back? What does this mean about me? How am I going to explain the breakup to my friends and family? Those questions are valid, but they're for later. Right now, your brain is trying to solve a lifetime problem while it's operating inside an acute emotional crisis. Don't make it do that. Your goal is smaller. Get through the day. Eat, sleep, move your body, rest, talk to safe people, go outside, work if you can, take time off if you can, create structure, reduce behaviors that keep reopening the wound, and most importantly, stop making your ex responsible for your stabilization. Because every time you need them to respond in order for you to feel okay, you're teaching your brain that your stability exists outside of you. And that's exactly what we're trying to change. Now we're done with the principles. Let's go over the 5 tools. Tool number 1 is the pain allowance. The first thing you need to learn is how to let the pain exist without obeying it. Don't fight it. Don't suppress it. Don't immediately distract yourself from it. And don't turn it into an action. I want you to imagine your emotional pain as an animal you really dislike. Maybe it's a rat. Maybe it's a snake. Maybe it's something you absolutely don't want anywhere near you. Now imagine that animal entering through your chest. And instead of fighting it, let it move through you. Let it pass through your chest and let it leave through your back. You're not inviting it to stay. You're not feeding it. You're simply allowing it to move through your body, because the goal is not to make the pain disappear. The goal is to learn that you can experience pain without allowing pain to control your behavior. So when your pain says, text them, you say, this is pain, not an instruction. Process it. Don't obey it. Tool number 2 is the voice negotiation. Now that your ex is gone, you're going to meet another character, the voice. the voice of your subconscious mind. And the voice is going to follow you through this entire process. And because it's your subconscious mind, it doesn't usually speak to you in facts. It speaks to you in stories. And one of the stories is probably going to tell you maybe you were asking for too much, maybe you were too needy, maybe if you had been easier, they would have stayed. And here's the mistake people make. They try to shut the voice down. Don't. Negotiate with it. Give your subconscious voice a story back. Tell it. My needs were reasonable. They were not immoral. They were not abusive or degrading to my partner. My partner was not able to sustain my needs, and that is my truth. And the voice may come back, and that's okay. You don't need to defeat the voice. You just need to reiterate your position. My needs were reasonable. My partner was not able to meet them, and that's my truth. Again and again and again until your subconscious begins to accept that, and this is the story you're going to live by. Tool number 3 is the adult responsibility audit. This one is critical because this is where you begin to get your power back. And listen carefully. This is not self-blame. You're not making a list of everything that was wrong with you. You're asking, what did I allow to continue when I already knew it was wrong or inappropriate for me? What did you ignore? What did you rationalize or overanalyze? What did you keep accepting because you were afraid that if you stopped accepting it, you will lose a relationship? Because sometimes the most painful realization after a breakup isn't, oh, they left me. The most painful realization is I abandoned myself to try to keep them. And the adult responsibility audit tool is how you stop doing that. You take responsibility for your side, not their behavior, not their limitations, your participation. Because responsibility gives you something blame never can: power. You cannot control why they couldn't meet your needs, but you can decide what you will never allow yourself to tolerate again. Tool number 4 is the job buster. This one is fascinating. It's one of my favorites because being in a relationship with your ex was in many ways a full-time job. You were thinking about them, analyzing them, anticipating them, monitoring their mood, trying to understand what they meant, trying to keep the connection, and suddenly you got fired, whether you broke up or they broke up. But your subconscious doesn't know what to do with all that empty mental space, so it wants its job back. And that's why it starts giving you highlight reels. Suddenly you remember the best kiss, the perfect vacation, the one night, the one conversation, the moment when you felt completely connected. And your brain says, you see, they weren't that bad. But what your brain has done is create an open file. So we're going to close it. Take the memory that keeps haunting you, the one with the highest pleasure and intensity that tells you, you see, they weren't that bad. Look at this wonderful memory. So you're going to write down exactly what that memory is. Then you're going to go and write on top 12 hours before that moment. What was happening? What were you feeling? And what was the relationship actually like? Then below it, you're going to go 12 hours after it. What happened next? What did you feel? What did reality look like? Because right now, your brain is replaying a highlight. You're not going to turn that highlight into a complete movie. You're now going to turn that highlight into a complete movie. So you're going to close that loop. Beginning, middle, and end. And when the story has an ending, the brain has less reason to keep reopening that file. Tool number 5, the closure creator. And this is the one I want you to remember. When your pain starts telling you, I need closure, I need them to explain why, I need one more conversation, I need to understand what happened, you tell that voice, my closure is exactly what I'm living right now. The end of a story that was unsustainable. You don't need your ex to explain everything to you, because here's what people don't understand about searching for closure. You may get one answer and leave with 10 new questions. Yes, you may meet the person, you may meet at the mall and have coffee, and when you leave the conversation, most anxious attached people leave with so much fog, with 10, 20 new questions to answer. But what did you say that? When did you stop loving me? Was there someone else? Did I do something wrong? Could we have fixed it? And suddenly you're back in the investigation. So when your pain tells you to go hunt for answers, say, this pain is my closure. My job is to process this pain, not to hunt for answers. I have all the answers I need. And the answer is not that my needs were wrong. The answer is not that you were too much. The answer is that there was an incompatibility in emotional needs and capacity. You needed a level of emotional closeness that your partner wasn't able or unwilling to sustain. And you have to accept that. So you don't need the other person, the person that hurt you, to explain your pain. You need to allow yourself to process the pain. And maybe moving forward, you can have a conversation. And that's the shift. Your pain is information, not instruction. You don't follow it back to your ex. You process the pain until it leads you back to yourself. And that's how you begin to walk back home and get yourself back. Just know that breakups happen all the time, and this may not be your first one. It's just that this time you're going to heal from it in a better, healthier, more functional way than you did before. In my channel, the description box is extremely important. Down there is my phone number. You can have 15 minutes with me for free, and I'm here for you, to listen to you. You have my book, my masterclass, my guides. You're not alone. I hope this video served you, and I'll see you on the next one.